Hello friends. So today we are discussing the topic which is interdependence. But before starting the topic, let me share the screen first. Okay, so yeah, now we are starting the topic which is interdependence. So interdependence is basically the dependence of one species on the other. Okay, so these species, they are depending on one another. That dependence may be related to their habitat, may be related to their food, may be related to the protection of themselves from the predators. So the interdependence is also said as the symbiosis, or we can say symbiosis as interdependence, just because in symbiosis also the organisms are dependent on other living organisms. Like the species, sometimes they are getting benefit from one another, sometimes one species getting benefit but the other is harmed, sometimes it's like one species is getting benefit but the other has no role. So this is how the symbiosis happen. Like symbiosis is basically the thing in which we say that the species are depending on one another. So interdependence is symbiosis and symbiosis is interdependence. Like we say that interdependence of organisms is called symbiosis, and symbiosis is the same thing. So this symbiosis is further divided into three types. So the first one is commensalism. The second is mutualism. And the third is parasitism. So in today's class, we are discussing all of them separately in regard of their examples. Like we are discussing them each with example. So the first is commensalism. So this type is like the type of symbiosis. In symbiosis, we say like most of the times we have the two species. Sometimes it is more than two species, but the two species, they are interacting or interdepending with each other. So in commensalism, what happens? One species is getting benefit, but the second has no role, which is like is neutral. It is not getting harmed nor getting advantage. Like it's neutral. It is not taking any benefit from the other species. So one is neutral and one is getting advantage. So the example of this could be like we have this is the page from which we are discussing this lecture. Okay, so here we have the example of clownfish and the sea anemones. Okay, so if you observe the the relationship between clownfish and Cyanemon. It can be pronounced in any way, okay? So in Commensalism, we have the example of clownfish and cyanemon. Like they have the relationship in which, if you observe that the cyanemon has this type of structure, which is like it has the tentacles on its body. So these are the tentacles. Okay, so what happens? This clownfish, it actually comes and live here in the tentacles. So you can say like it lives there and it is protected. So it is taking advantage of the sea anemone. It is um, like this clownfish is uh, taking tentacles as its home. So it lives there and it is protected by the predators. So it gets protected through these tentacles. This is the advantage of clownfish. But on the other hand, the sea anemone, it is getting no advantage out of this clownfish. Like if it is living, it's okay. If it's not living, it is also okay for clownfish. So the sea anemone in this case is not getting any advantage out of living clownfish on its tentacles. So this is the example for commensalism in which the clownfish is getting advantage, but sea anemone is getting no advantage out of this. Okay, so this was from the commensalism. The next is about the second type of symbiosis, which is mutualism. So from the word, you can observe that mutualism, mutual means both. Okay, so here both organisms are taking advantage of each other. Okay, so here we have the example of this oxpeckers and rhinoceros. Okay, for example, oxpeckers eat bugs that live on rhinoceros. So what does these oxpeckers do? These oxpeckers, like this is the relationship. This mutualism is like the relationship between oxpeckers and rhinoceros. So these oxpeckers, they are eating the bugs that are living on the backs of the rhinoceros, which is like the bugs are uh, taking, or you can say this, they are sucking the blood from the skin of rhinoceros, and these oxpeckers, these are a type of birds. Okay, they just pick up those bugs out from the rhinoceros skin. So they are taking food. They are taking the food from the rhinoceros. And what is these rhinoceros getting? They are being protected by the bugs. Like if these bugs, they just increase their number, and the oxpeckers do not pick them up from the skin of the rhinoceros, what happens? The bugs just increase in number, and it's like they are just like more in number, and they're sucking the blood out from rhinoceros, and the rhinoceros becomes weak and they may die. So in this mutualism relationship, what is happening? The rhinoceros, they are being protected, and oxpeckers, they are getting food. Like the bugs are like the food of oxpeckers. So oxpeckers are getting their food from rhinoceros, and rhinoceros, they are being protected from the bugs through these oxpeckers. So both are getting advantage from each other. Now the next is, the third one is parasitism. So this is the type of symbiosis in which one organism is getting advantage and the other is harmed. So you can take the example of this bug on rhinoceros. What is happening? This bug is taking the blood from the skin of, like it's just sucking the blood from the rhinoceros, and it is getting food. This bug is getting food. But the rhinoceros, when all, like most of the blood is being sucked by the bugs, what happens? It becomes weak and it may die. So this rhinoceros is um, it is being harmed, and this bug is getting advantage. So the example for parasitism, you can say about the bug and rhinoceros, the bugs that live on rhinoceros, as well as the fleas that live on skin of dogs and cats. Okay, so this is parasitism, and this is the type of symbiosis. So like for symbiosis, we have three types: commensalism, mutualism, and parasitism. And the symbiosis is the you can say the category of interdependence. One more category we have is competition. Symbiosis is one of the category, and we have another which is competition. So whenever in an area, um, like we have discussed in the food webs, that all the species or organisms, they are interlinked with each other through food webs, and the energy is being distributed among all the organisms or species. But what happens if any of the species dies and the food becomes less for the other organism? The competition arises. Now, for that other organism, it has to dependent on some other uh, food options. The same is the case, which is like competition is when um, one food option lessen, or it's like you can take example. It is related from this word competition, which is like the competition between the species or between the organisms come up. Uh, for example, we have a tree, and on this tree there are certain types of fruits. So some fruits are on the upper levels and some are on the shorter levels. Okay, so what happens if we have the animals um, with longer neck. They will eat all this food. Okay, so the competition comes up now, like for the smaller ones. Okay, like if we have the food which is on this tree, and all the animals, they are dependent on this tree, so the animals with larger necks, they will eat this food, and the competition arises for animals with shorter neck. But if they are with a longer neck and they're eating only this portion, and this portion also has some food, so now the shorter animals can take this food. So now they have the small amount of food as compared to the previous one. So it's like the competition between the species comes up when there is less food and more animals. Okay, we have less food and we have the more organisms to eat it. So in this way, what happens, some of the species become extinct, some becomes endangered. Okay, and some of the species just vanish and go away, like the dinosaurs or these types of species. They just, you can say, they just swipe out, or they just uh, disappear. It's because they have no food now. How can they survive? So the competition arises between the species for survival, and the ones they are more fit into the environment, they survive, while the others, they become extinct. So this is how this competition things happen in the environment. Okay, so that's all from today's lecture. Hope you'll understand all the things. If you have any questions, you can ask me in the comment section. Thank you. Goodbye.